I never meant to burn down my best friend's childhood home. But when I struck the match and watched the flames lick up the dry siding like hungry tongues, I realized that revenge isn't a clean cut. It's a wildfire that consumes everything, including the woman holding the lighter. My name is Willow Hayes, and this is how inheriting a stranger's house turned me into the villain of my own story. Or maybe I was always the villain. After all, I'd spent years carrying the weight of a crime that wasn't mine, all because of a betrayal so deep it festered like an untreated wound. It started 6 months ago, on a sweltering July afternoon in the sticky sprawl of suburban Atlanta. I'd just buried my grandmother, my last tether to anything resembling family, and her estate lawyer called me into a stuffy office downtown, the kind with fake wood paneling and a coffee stain on the desk that looked like a Rorschach test for despair. "Miss Hayes," he said, peering over his bifocals like I was a puzzle he couldn't quite solve, "there's been a clerical error. But it's a fortunate one for you." Fortunate. That's what he called it. He slid a manila folder across the desk, and inside were deeds to a house I'd never seen. 142, Elmwood Drive, in the quiet enclave of Roswell, Georgia. Owned by one Elias Hawthorne, deceased without heirs. Some mix-up in the probate records. My grand's maiden name, Hawthorne, must have flagged the system wrong. Elias had no kids, no spouse, just a dusty old Victorian on a half-acre lot that the bank was about to foreclose on. And now it was mine. Free and clear. I laughed. A sharp, disbelieving bark that echoed off the walls. Me, Willow Hayes, 28 years old, scraping by as a barista at a hipster coffee joint in Midtown while dodging student loans and a string of bad dates, suddenly a homeowner? It felt like the universe's cruel joke, the kind where you win the lottery only to find out it's cursed. But I signed the papers anyway. What else was I going to do? Sleep on the streets after the eviction notice hit my apartment? The drive up to Roswell that weekend was a blur of humidity and half-formed dreams. I, 285, crawled with traffic, semis belching exhaust like chain smokers at a funeral, and by the time I pulled my beat-up Honda into the driveway, the sun was dipping low, painting the house in blood-orange hues. It was a monster of a place, peeling white paint, turrets like crooked fingers, a wraparound porch sagging under the weight of neglect. Ivy strangled the gutters, and the lawn was a jungle of knee-high weeds dotted with rusted kitty toys half buried in the dirt. Whose life had ended here? I wondered, key in hand, the metal warm from my pocket like a promise. Inside smelled of mothballs and regret. Dust motes danced in the slanted light filtering through lace curtains, yellowed with age. The foyer opened to a grand staircase, its banister carved with gargoyles that seemed to leer at me. I wandered room to room, my sneakers squeaking on hardwood floors warped by time. Kitchen with avocado green cabinets and a fridge that hummed like a dying bee. Living room stacked with bookshelves groaning under leather-bound tomes, law texts mostly, and faded photos of a stern man in a suit, probably Elias himself, staring out from frames like he owned the ghosts. Upstairs, the master bedroom had a four-poster bed draped in faded velvet, and a walk-in closet full of men's clothes that smelled faintly of pipe tobacco. I rifled through drawers, finding cufflinks engraved with YH and a stack of letters tied with twine, addressed to someone named L. Curiosity prickled my skin, but exhaustion won. I crashed on the bed that night, the sheets stiff and cool, dreaming of fires and locked doors. The next morning, I woke to the sound of gravel crunching under tires. Peering through the blinds, I saw a black Escalade parked in the drive, its engine ticking as it cooled. A man stepped out, tall, broad-shouldered, in a crisp button-down rolled to his elbows, khakis pressed sharp as a knife edge. Mid-30s, maybe, with salt and pepper hair cropped close and a jawline that could have been chiseled from marble. He carried a leather briefcase, and his stride was purposeful, like he owned the place. Which apparently he did. "Miss Hayes," he called, knocking with knuckles that rapped like judgment. I froze in my tank top and shorts, heart hammering. Who the hell was this? The lawyer? A squatter? No. His voice was smooth Georgia drawl, laced with authority. I threw on a robe and cracked the door. "Can I help you?" He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Name's Harlan Crow. I'm the executor of Elias Hawthorne's estate. And you, darlin', are squatting in my inheritance. Your inheritance? The words hung there, thick as the humidity. I blinked, the deed burning a hole in my mind. There's been a mistake, the lawyer said. No mistake. He stepped closer, invading the porch without invitation, his cologne, sandalwood and steel, wafting over me. Elias was my uncle. Distant branch, but blood's blood. The paperwork got tangled because of some old family feud, but it's sorted now. Courts already ruled. You got 30 days to vacate. Blood's blood. The phrase slithered under my skin. I crossed my arms, the robe slipping a fraction. Bullshit. I have the deed. Signed, sealed. You can't just show up and watch me. He pulled a sheaf of papers from his briefcase, thrusting them at me like a gauntlet. Injunction. Temporary restraining order. Dates stamped yesterday. My stomach dropped.
How?
I'd just gotten the keys Friday. Call your lawyer, he said, turning back to his SUV. But save your breath. Elias owed people. Debts that don't die with a man. This house? Collateral. And you're in the way. He drove off in a spray of gravel, leaving me shaking on the porch, the Georgia sun beating down like an interrogation lamp. I spent the day on the phone, dialing the estate attorney until my thumb cramped. Voicemail. Dead lines. By evening, a process server showed up with eviction papers, his face blank as a deputy's badge. That's when the rage ignited, not a blaze, but a smolder, deep in my chest. I didn't leave. Not that night, not the next. I barricaded myself in, boarding windows with plywood from the garage, the hammers echo a war drum in the empty house. Food deliveries piled up on the stoop. I lived off granola bars and spite. Harlan came back twice, first with a locksmith, who I met at the door with a shotgun I found in the attic unloaded, but he didn't know that. The second time, he brought a cop, some buddy from the Roswell PD. All Southern charm and veiled threats. Willow, Harlan said through the screen door, rain pattering like impatient fingers. This ain't you. You're a good girl? I can tell. Fighting for scraps when the table's already set. Come out. Let's talk over coffee. My treat. Good girl. The condescension curled my fists. I knew his type. Old money wrapped in new suits, the kind who summered in the Hamptons but wintered in Atlanta boardrooms, pulling strings like a puppeteer. But there was something else in his eyes, a flicker of recognition? Like he'd seen my face before, in a mugshot or a yearbook. That night, I started digging. The house wasn't just a pile of bricks. It was a tomb of secrets. In the basement, dank, cobwebbed, I pried open a locked trunk with a crowbar, the wood splintering like brittle bones. Inside, yellowed newspaper clippings from 1995. Local businessman Elias Hawthorne cleared an embezzlement scandal. Teenage daughter's testimony seals acquittal. And there, buried at the bottom, a Polaroid of a girl, maybe 16, with my eyes, wide, haunted, standing beside Elias on the porch. The girl was labeled Lila Crow. Harlan's sister? My hands trembled as I pieced it together. Elias hadn't just been rich. He'd been crooked. The articles painted a picture. He'd siphoned funds from his law firm, framed a junior partner, my father, James Hayes, for the fall. Dad took the rap. 5 years in Fulton County lockup, came out a shell. Suicide 2 years later. Pills washed down with cheap whiskey. Gran never spoke of it, just shipped me off to foster homes after. I'd grown up believing Dad was the thief, the failure. But here was proof. Lila Crow, Harlan's kid sister, had lied on the stand, perjured herself to save her daddy's brother. And in return, Elias cut her out, left her nothing. She OD'd 6 months after the trial, needles and regret. Harlan knew. He had to. The trunk had a note, scrawled in Elias's hand. Tell Harlan the truth dies with me. Or the tapes go public. Tapes? I tore the basement apart, finding a dusty cassette player and a shoebox of mini cassettes behind a loose panel. One labeled, Lila's Confession. I plugged it in, though we're filling the dark like a heartbeat. her voice young and cracked. I did it for you, Uncle Eli.
But Daddy.
He made me. Said if I didn't, we'd lose everything. James Hayes, he was innocent. I planted the files.
I'm sorry.
The click of the tape ending was louder than a gunshot. My father innocent. Betrayed by the crows, the whole rotten family tree. And Harlan, the golden boy, executor now, swooping in to claim what was built on lies. Rage didn't smolder anymore, it roared. I confronted him at dawn, pounding on the door of his McMansion in Alpharetta, the kind with a 3-car garage and a fountain that looked like it pissed money. He answered in boxers and a tee, sleep-rumpled but alert, like he'd been expecting me. You murdering bastard, I hissed, shoving the Polaroid in his face. Lila killed herself because of this. Your family destroyed mine. His face didn't crumple. It hardened, eyes narrowing to slits. Willow Hayes. I knew you looked familiar. Your daddy's eyes. He stepped aside, gesturing me in.
Come. We talk.
No cops, no courts. Just truth. Inside was sterile luxury, marble counters, abstract art that screamed, I have more money than taste. He poured black coffee, strong as tar, and we sat at his island like adversaries at a truce. Elias was poison, Harlan said, voice low. But family.
It's a chain.
Lila was 16, manipulated. She confessed to me before she died. I burned the tapes, or thought I did. Elias hid copies everywhere. Then why the lawsuit? Why evict me? He leaned in, breath minty despite the hour. Because the house isn't just a house. It's leverage. Elias embezzled from clients, widows, orphans. One was your gran. She invested her life savings in his firm. When it tanked, she lost everything. But he left a trust, hidden in the deed. If I sell the house, it goes to those he screwed. Including you.
Lies.
Or half-truths. I could smell them.
Bull.
You're flipping sides already. First you want it. Now it's charity. A ghost of a smile. Survival, Willow. I'm a prosecutor now, DA's office.
Scandals stick.
If those tapes surface, I'm done.
But you.
You could walk away rich. The offer hung there, seductive as sin. Sign over the deed. Split the proceeds. 50-50. Enough to erase my debts. Start over in Austin or Seattle, far from George's ghosts. But as he talked, outlining shell companies and NDAs, I saw the flip, the schemer unmasked. Harlan wasn't saving the victims. He was laundering the sins, pocketing the lion's share. And me, the patsy, again. Like Dad. No deal, I said, standing. I'm keeping the house. And the truth. He grabbed my wrist, grip iron. You unleash that. You destroy more than me. Lila's memory gone. Our family's name, mud.
Think, Willow.
Revenge is a mirror. It shows you ugly too. I wrenched free, storming out to my car, his words echoing like a curse. Ugly. Maybe. But I'd stared in enough mirrors to know the reflection. Back at Elmwood, I plotted. Not with guns or fists. I'm no action hero, just a girl with a laptop and a grudge. I digitized the tapes, uploaded backups to encrypted drives, posted snippets anonymously on legal forums, tagging DA Crow. Whispers started. Reddit threads, local news tips. Hawthorne Heir hiding family secrets?
Harlan retaliated fast.
Reporters swarmed the house, sleek vans with satellite dishes, mics thrust like spears. Miss Hayes, is it true you're blackmailing the prosecutor? Did your father really steal from innocents? Lies, twisted. He painted me as the gold digger, the vengeful squatter clinging to a dead man's bones. I barricaded deeper, living on takeout and terror. Nights blurred into paranoia, shadows at windows, calls from blocked numbers breathing static threats. One evening, as thunder rolled in from the west, a brick crashed through the living room pane, wrapped in paper. Walk away or burn. Classic. That's when the idea bloomed, twisted, irreversible. If the house was the heart of it all, the vessel for Elias's sins, why not purge it? Not with gasoline and matches, That's sloppy, traceable. No, something poetic. Insurance fraud, maybe. Or arson framed as accident. But as I paced the creaky floors, Harlan's words gnawed. Revenge is a mirror. He showed up again at midnight, pounding like the storm outside. Soaked to the skin, shirt clinging, he looked feral, unmoored. You win, he shouted over the wind. The DA's suspending me. Tapes are everywhere.
Call it off, Willow.
Please. I let him in, the door groaning like a confession. Water pooled at his feet. He shivered, defeated. What do you want? He asked, voice raw. You, I said. Not sex, power.
Confess. Publicly.
For Lila. For my dad. He laughed, bitter. And then? You get the house, the money. I get ruined. It's not balance. It's annihilation. We argued till dawn. Words weapons. His charm cracking into desperation. My resolve fraying at the edges. He flipped again, from supplicant to seducer, closing the distance, hands on my arms. We could burn it together. Start clean. No deets, no dates. Just us. The kiss was inevitable, salt and storm, hate twisting into hunger. For a moment, I saw it. Partnership in the ashes, two survivors torching the past. But as his fingers tangled in my hair, I felt the switchblade in his pocket press against my thigh. Not a blade, a recorder. He was taping me, turning my rage into his acquittal. Entrapment, he'd claim. She forced my hand. Betrayal, round 2. Deeper because I'd tasted the lie. I kneed him, hard, and shoved him toward the stairs. He tumbled, cracking his head on the banister. Blood, dark and accusing, but not fatal. Groggy, he cursed. You bitch. It's always been you, the mistake. The matchbook was in my pocket from the coffee shop. I lit one, the flame dancing like Lila's ghost. Mistakes burn, I whispered, flicking it onto the rug. Wool ignited slow, then fierce, smoke curling like incense. He scrambled up, eyes wide. Guilo, no.
But yes.
I dragged him out, coughing, into the rain. Sirens wailed distant as the house, Elias's tomb, Harlan's leverage, devoured itself in orange fury. Fire trucks arrived too late. The structure groaned, collapsed in on the basement secrets. Harlan survived, scarred physically at least. The headline screamed, Arson at historic home, disputed air escapes blaze.
Me?
Fugitive. They pinned it on me, of course, motive, opportunity. Harlan's testimony sealed it, she snapped. Said the house had to pay for the sins. I ran. Zigzagged through the South Memphis motels, New Orleans alleys, dyed my hair blonde, took a name from a diner menu, Sadie. Worked cash gigs, bartending in dive bars where the jukebox played Johnny Cash laments.
But the twist?
The money. Turns out, the trust was real. Buried in offshore accounts, triggered by the destruction. Elias's final fuck you. Burn the house, claim the pot. Millions split among the victims' heirs.
Including me.
And Harlan. He found me 6 months later, in a Biloxi casino, neon flickering like false hope. Sober now, thinner, with a cane from the fall. We both won, he said, sliding into the booth, a check between us. 5 figures each. Or lost. Depends on the spin. I stared at the paper, the ink blurring. Lila would have hated us. Probably. He lit a cigarette. First I'd seen him smoke. Exhaling smoke like surrender. But your dad? He'd say justice is gray.
Gray.
That's the debate, isn't it? I took the check, bought a ticket to Portland. Rain their washes clean, or so they say. Harlan went back to Atlanta, whispering in back rooms, his career a ghost.
Me?
I bought a cabin, small and unassuming, no turrets or secrets. But every night, I dream of flames and wonder, was it revenge or just another betrayal? Mine this time. The end? You decide. Happy because I walked? Tragic because nothing's truly ashes? Waking up in that Portland cabin felt like surfacing from a drowning dream, gasping, drenched in sweat, the scent of smoke clinging to my nostrils like a bad habit. It had been 3 months since Biloxi, since Harlan's check cleared and I traded the South's suffocating embrace for Oregon's misty chill. The cabin was a steel, cedar logs, a stone fireplace I never lit, overlooking a lake that mirrored the evergreens like a guilty conscience. No neighbors close enough to borrow sugar, which suited me fine. Isolation was my new lover, cold, reliable, no hidden recorders in its pockets. But isolation breeds ghosts. I'd renamed myself Sadie Locke. Sadie for the waitress who'd comped my last coffee in Georgia, Locke for the philosopher Gran quoted when debts piled high. No man's knowledge here can go beyond his experience. Fitting, since my experience was a bonfire of bad choices. Days blurred into routine, mornings chopping wood with an axe that bit satisfyingly deep, afternoons at the local library's public computers, scouring news for Harlan's shadow, evenings with a bottle of Pinot Noir, staring at the dark water, replaying the blaze in my head. The way the flames had leaped from the rug to the curtains, devouring the gargoyles on the stairs like they were alive and screaming. The money sat in a brokerage account, untouched except for the cabin down payment and a used Subaru Outback, reliable, anonymous. I could have jetted to Fiji, reinvented as a trust fund yogi. But luxury felt like blood money, sticky and suspect. Instead, I sent anonymous wires to Dad's old prison buddies, a scholarship fund for foster kids like me. Small atonements, pebbles against the avalanche of what I'd done. It started unraveling on a Tuesday, gray skies spitting drizzle like Atlanta's tears. A letter arrived, no stamp, hand-delivered, slipped under the door while I hiked the trails. Thick vellum envelope, my alias in elegant script. Inside, a single photo, creased and faded, of me and Harlan on the porch of Elmwood, mid-argument, rain sheeting down. Polaroid, fresh developed. On the back, in his handwriting. Missed you at the settlement hearing.
We need to talk. Ash.
Settlement hearing? I'd ghosted the lawyers, let them proxy the claims. But this, stalker vibes, or worse, unfinished business. My pulse quickened, that old smolder reigniting. How'd he find me? The checks trail?
A pie?
I burned the photo in the sink, watching it curl black, but the image lingered. His eyes, pleading yet predatory. That night, sleep evaded. I paced the cabin, floorboards creaking confessions, and dug out my burner phone. No calls, but text to a contact I'd cultivated, a hacker kid from a New Orleans chatroom, owed me for bailing him out of a bar tab. Track IP if I send chords. Paranoia, sure, but Harlan's flips were legend, ally to enemy in a breath. Morning brought fog thick as regret. I drove into town, Ashland, artsy haven with Shakespeare festivals and crystal shops, stocking up on canned goods and new lock set. At the hardware store, the clerk, an older woman with henned hair and a name tag reading Bev, eyed my selections. Trouble at home, hon? Just cautious. I forced a smile, Midwestern flat to mask the drawl. She nodded, wisdom in her crow's feet. Smart. Men like storms, come and go, but leave wreckage. Lock 'em out before they knock. Bev became a fixture after that. Coffee at the diner, her stories of ex-husbands and small-town scandals a bomb. Revenge, she'd say, stirring her mug. Ain't worth the salt in your tears. But forgetting? That's the real killer. I wanted to forget.
God, I did.
But Harlan haunted, a specter in every shadow. 2 weeks later, another envelope, this one with a USB drive. Clips from the tapes, Lila's voice, tinny and broken, pleading. Attached note, public now. My career's ash. Yours next if you don't meet. Midnight, Crater Lake Overlook. Come alone. Leverage. He still had it, the bastard. Copies of my confession?
No, smarter.
He'd lawyered up, spun the arson as mutual, but dangled my flight as flight from justice. Meet or be hunted. I went. Not alone, burner cam in my pocket, streaming to the hacker. The drive wound up through pines, headlights carving tunnels in the night. Crater Lake shimmered below, a volcanic eye staring unblinking. Harlan waited at the pullout, silhouetted against the void, cane tapping rhythm like Morse code. You look good, Willow. No, Sadie, he stripped my armor. Oregon suits you. Cleaner air. Fuck you. I stayed by the car, keys fisted. Wind whipped, carrying pine sap and threat. He limped closer, face gaunt under moonlight, cheekbones sharp as accusations. The settlement's finalized. 20 mil total. Victim's pot. But there's a catch. Elias's will have a codicil. Blood heirs only. Me and you.
Me?
The word punched. Liar. DNA test. He suspected. Your grand affair with Elias, back in the 70s. She covered it. Raised you as James's. But bio? You're Hawthorne. Half-sister to Lila. Niece to him. The world tilted. Not just betrayed, born into the betrayal. Dad's innocence? Layered with this. Grand secret, a lie of omission that made me complicit by blood. I laughed, hysterical.
And you knew?
All along.
Guessed.
After the fire. He tossed a folder, paternity papers, lab stamped. That's why I fought the deed.
Protect the family.
Or what was left. Flip again. From destroyer to defender. His eyes, though, wet, cracked. Lila died because I couldn't save her from him. You're the redemption. Or the curse. I snatched the folder, pages fluttering like trapped birds. Redemption doesn't come with strings, Harlan. Then cut them. He pulled a flask, swigged, whiskey, sharp on the wind. Burn the records. Walk away. We split clean. The offer, round 3. But this time, the mirror showed not just ugly, family. Twisted, toxic, but mine. I thought of Dad, his hanged silhouette in my nightmares, now reframed, cuckold, not criminal. Gran, silent sentinel, bearing the truth to spare me.
No.
The word escaped, firm. We expose it all. Let the world judge. His face crumpled. First real crack. You'll destroy us.
Us.
I stepped forward, close enough to smell the liquor, the fear. There is no us. Just survivors. He lunged then, not attack, embrace. Desperate. Breaking. Please, Willow. Sister. The word shattered something. I shoved him back, harder than intended. His cane skittered, and he teetered on the cliff's edge, gravel skittering into the abyss. For a heartbeat, time froze, his hand outstretched, my choice. Pull or push. I pulled, hauling him to safety, his weight heavy as guilt. We collapsed together, breathing ragged, the lake indifferent below. Dawn broke cold. He left without words, flask abandoned like a sacrament. I drove home, folder burning in the passenger seat. That night, I fed it to the fireplace. First fire I'd lit, watching flames consume the proof. Blood's blood, after all. Some chains you forge yourself. But secrets? They echo. A month later, Bev at the diner slid me a napkin note. Heard your big news down south. Careful, hon. National podcasts now. The Hawthorne Inferno. Arson or atonement. Harlan, anonymous source, feeding tips. Flipping again, martyring himself to martyr me. I packed the Subaru, headed north, Washington, maybe Canada. Revenge wasn't the fire. It was this endless chase. Mirrors multiplying. Ugly?
Yeah.
But alive. Crossing into Washington felt like shedding skin. Itchy. Raw. The Cascades rising like judgmental spines along I-5. I ditched the Outback in a Seattle impound lot. Cash swap for a rust bucket Ford pickup from a Craigslist ad. No questions, no plates. Sadie Locke died in Oregon. Now I was Riley Thorne, borrowed from a romance novel Gran hoarded. The pickup's cab smelled of old fries and freedom, radio crackling alt-rock anthems that mocked my flight. Vancouver, Washington, twin to its Canadian sister but grittier, all strip malls and river mills, welcomed me with relentless rain, the kind that seeps into bones. I rented a studio above a laundromat, walls thin as promises, the hum of dryers a lullaby for the sleepless. Job at a brewpub. slinging IPAs to loggers and tech bros, tips fat enough to stock the pantry. Nights, I'd walk the Columbia River waterfront, wind off the water whipping my hood, pretending the ripples washed away the what-ifs. What if I'd let Harlan fall? What if the fire hadn't started? What if blood really was thicker? The questions festered, pus yellow, infecting dreams where Lila appeared, not the girl in the Polaroid, but spectral, needled arms outstretched. You burned our home, sister.
Sister.
The word clawed. I'd scoured ancestry sites on library Wi-Fi, cross-referencing Gran's obit with Elias's. Whispers of a summer fling, 72, her nursing school, his clerkship. A pregnancy hushed, James Hay stepping in as the White Knight, only to be framed a decade later. Gran's silence? Protection or shame? I hated her for it, loved her more. Harlan's silence? Calculation. Post-Crate Lake, he gone dark, no more envelopes, no sightings. But the media frenzy peaked. Dateline special, Heirs of Hellfire, painting us as Southern Gothic twins, doomed by daddy's sins. Me, the fiery avenger. Him, the fallen prince, resigning DA post for personal reasons, now consulting for.
Who?
The victim's fund? Or deeper pockets? A brewpub regular tipped me off, trucker's wife, glued to true crime TikToks. That crow fella? Spotted in D.C., lawyering for some Senate probe. Embezzlement rings, they say. Flip, from hunted to hunter, weaponizing the scandal to climb. Rage simmered, but I banked it. Riley Thorne didn't burn bridges. She built walls. Until the laundromat bombing. It was a Thursday, shift over, quarters jingling as I sorted delicates in the basement glow. The door above creaked, late-night straggler, probably. But footsteps descended deliberate, not the shuffle of drunks. I froze, sock in hand, heart tattooing ribs. Willow. Harlan's voice, velvet over gravel. He stood at the foot of the stairs, trench coat dripping puddles, cane hooked on his arm like a question mark. Older, somehow lines etched deeper, hair more salt than pepper. I bolted upright, chair scraping.
How?
Trade's secret. He smiled, weary. Riley suits you. Less thorns.
Out.
But the door was behind him and my phone, upstairs, charging. He didn't move, just leaned on the washer, rain scent mingling with detergent. I'm not here to drag you back. Truce.
Truce.
The word tasted like ash. I edged to the folding table, palms slick. What then? Another flip? Confess and conquer. His laugh was hollow. Conquered already. Lost the bar, the house. Foreclosed while I chased ghosts. Cane tapped, a tick nervous. But the probe? It's bigger. Elias wasn't solo. Cartel ties, laundering through his firm. Your dad's frame? Tip of the iceberg. Feds want testimony. Immunity for you. Immunity. The lure, shiny as fool's gold. And you get? Hero whistleblower. Something like. Eyes met mine. Mirrors reflecting mirrors. Or nothing. Depends on you. We talked, or bartered, till the dryers clicked off, steam veiling us like confessional fog. He laid it out. Depositions in Quantico, protected witness. Relive the fire, the tapes, Lila's ghost. In return, clean slate, the rest of the trust wired direct. No more running. Why me? I pressed, suspicion a shield. Because you're the only one who sees the whole board. He pulled a thumb drive, schematics, wire transfers, names, senators, CEOs, ghosts from 95. Elias played us all. Lila knew. That's why she broke.
Broke.
The word hung and suddenly the flip, not his, mine. I snatched the drive, pocketing it.
Okay.
But on my terms. No meetings without my lawyer. He nodded, relief cracking his facade.
Deal.
We shook, his hand cool, steady. For a second, alliance flickered, fragile as bubblegum. Then he left, vanishing into the downpour, and I exhaled, knees buckling. Sleep came fitful, dreams of submerged houses, Harlan diving after secrets. Morning brought clarity, verify. I biked to the library, VPN layered thick, plugging in the drive. Files cascaded, PDFs of ledgers, audio of Elias barking orders in Spanish lilted English. Cartel? Jesus. One folder labeled Hayes cover, emails from Harlan's firm account, post-trial, quashing appeals. He'd known, buried it deeper. Betrayal. Eternal. I copied it all, emailed to a journalist contact from the podcast days, anonymous, of course. Let the probe choke on its own venom. Harlan called days later. Burner to burner. You leaked? Insurance. My voice steel. Silence then, smart. But dangerous. They're coming.
They.
Vague, but the fear was real. That night, tires crunched outside the laundromat. SUV, black as Biloxi night. I watched from the window, silhouette inside scanning. Heart in throat, I slipped out the back, pickup rumbling to life. Drove blind, wipers slashing rain, until a motel sign glowed in Ridgefield. Checked in as Ellen, paid cash. Room smelled of mildew and microwave popcorn. I barricaded with the dresser, gun from a pawn shop under the pillow. Unregistered. Virgin steel. Sleep? Fragments. Dawn, CNN on the lobby TV. Federal probe expands. Crow linked to money laundering scandal. His face. Pixelated mugshot. Flip final. Sacrificial lamb. Or Judas pointing fingers. I hit the road south, paralleling the river. Thumb drive my talisman. Washington faded. Oregon loomed, full circle. The revenge? Not fire, not flight. Exposure. Let the mirrors shatter. But as rain lashed the windshield, Lila whispered, Sister, run. Oregon welcomed me back like a spurned lover. Arms of fog, kisses of hail. I ditched the pickup in a Salem junkyard, traded for a Vespa scooter. Zippy, forgettable, perfect for weaving through Portland's hipster veins. New name, Jordan Hale, gender-neutral shield, job at a food truck park slinging falafel wraps to trust fund vegans. The gig paid in kale and karma, but the anonymity was priceless. No laundromats, no basements, just open air, food carts belching cumin and regret. The leak-eyed unleashed rippled wide. Headlines from Fox to MSNBC. Prosecutor's son in cartel web? Harlan's photo cycled endlessly. Resigned DA now person of interest. Interviews painted him nuanced. Grieving brother, reluctant heir, ensnared by father's shadow. No mention of me, the arson ghost. Good. But the drive's files? Goldmine for the journalist, her byline exploding. Exposés on DC dinners, shell core in the Caymans. Feds swarmed Atlanta, raiding Crow family vaults. I followed from afar, library terminals my confessional. One article gut-punched. Among victims, James Hayes, framed in 1995 scandal. Daughter, Willow Hayes, presumed vanished after fatal fire. Presumed vanished. Not dead, progress? But the photo, me, from the Polaroid, aged up by AI guesswork. Eyes like Dad's, haunted. Harlan reached out via dead drop. A postcard from DC, monument stamps, message and margins. Quantico, room 214. 10/15. Immunity waits.
Ush.
October 15th, 3 weeks out. Temptation nod. Clean slate meant reinvention. College, maybe, or a quiet farm in Montana. No more aliases, no mirrors. But trust? Shattered glass. I prepped. New burner, encrypted email to the journalist. If I ghost, publish all. Backup plan. Border hop to Vancouver, British Columbia. Melt into the multicultural haze. The 15th dawned crisp. Autumn leaves carpeting the motel lot where I'd holed up. Vespa hummed south on I-5. Tacoma's sprawl giving way to evergreens. Quantico loomed, FBI fortress. All brick and buzz cuts. I parked blocks away. Hood up, blending with joggers. Badge at the gate. Bluff. Agent Reyes sent me. Witness prep. The guard bought it, lazy eye flick. Inside, corridors echoed with purpose, fluorescence buzzing judgment. Room 214, conference table, whiteboard scrawled with timelines. Harlan waited alone, suit rumpled. No Kane milestone? Jordan. He clocked the alias, amusement feint, or whatever. You came. Curiosity. I sat across, hands folded to hide tremor. Talk. He slid a folder, plea deal, thick as a Bible. Testify. The fire, tapes, what you know. We corroborate. Mutual destruction of evidence, self-defense angle. Cartel takes the heat.
We.
The pronoun irked. And Lila? His jaw tightened. Mentioned as victim. No dirt. Liar. I flipped pages. Redactions heavy. She's the key. Perjury started it. Started what? A chain that ends with us in cuffs. Voice rose, cracking. I lost everything, Willow. Bar, license, living in a flea bag off 16th. For what? Truth that buries us deeper. Pity flickered, unwanted. He looked hollowed, eyes ringed black, once sharp jaw softened by stress. Flip, victim now, pleading. Then why drag me in? Because you're the only pure piece. He leaned, elbows on table. Blood, remember? We finished this together. Together. The word seduced, siren call. I signed, pen scratching like claws. Handshake sealed it, his grip lingering, electric. Post-meeting, feds debriefed. Polygraph scheduled, relocation package. Safe house in Virginia, till trial. Harlan walked me out. Autumn sun slanting gold. Dinner? Neutral ground. Celebrate the truce. Against instinct, I agreed. Alexandria waterfront, brick townhomes, Potomac glittering like fool's gold. Italian joint, Camelot, Chianti flowing. He ordered veal, blood on the plate, metaphorical. Talk turned personal, his childhood, Lila's laugh like bells, Elias's rages over scotch. I idolized him. Then the trial, saw the monster. And me. Wine loosened tongues. You hated the squatter. Then seduced her. Flipped like a coin. Hated the threat. Fork paused.
Then. Saw you.
Lila's echo. Fierce.
Fierce.
Compliment or cage. Dessert came. Tiramisu, coffee dusted. His foot brushed mine under the table. Accidental? Intent? Heat rose, old hunger. Harlan. Truce includes this. Hand over mine. Thumbs circling. No games. Just two people, fucked by the same storm. The kiss in the parking lot was inevitable, desperate, tasting of red wine and redemption. Back to his flea bag. Ironic, the mighty fallen to threadbare sheets. Night blurred, bodies tangling, whispers of sister forbidden, thrilling. Dawn, he traced my scars, emotional, invisible.
Stay.
After trial, we rebuild. Portland cabin? Or DC condo? Illusion shattered by noon. My phone buzzed, journalist. Feds raided Crow again. He's cooperating, naming you as accomplice in leaks. Flip. The bastard. Testimony bait, me the worm. I dressed silent, slipping out as he showered. Vespa roared back north, tears mixing with wind. Portland welcomed, but paranoia peaked. Safe house. Trap. I ghosted the feds, emailed renouncement. Deal off. He's dirty. Then vanished deeper, Eugene College Town, crashing with a brewpub contact, alias stacking like Russian dolls. Harlan's text pleaded. Misunderstanding. Cartel pressure.
Lies.
The trial loomed, November, DC courtroom circus. I watched remote, burner to news feeds. Him on stand, polished. Willow Hayes acted alone. I tried to save the house. Alone. The knife twist. Verdict. Cartel heads indicted, but Harlan walked. Key witness. Reduced charges.
Me?
Bench warrant. Fugitive anew. Revenge's echo. I'd exposed the web, but he spun free, silkier. Winter hit hard, snow blanketing Eugene like shrouds. Bev's words haunted. Men like storms. Harlan was hurricane, devastating, then clear skies for him alone. I plotted last stand. Anonymous drop to prosecutors, full drive contents. Let the flip chase its tail. But as flakes fell, Lila dreamed again. Together, sister. Burn it all. Maybe. Winter in Eugene clung like damp regret, frost-rimed windows, breaths fogging the air in my sublet basement, a warren of exposed pipes and undergrad noise above. Jordan Hale faded into Mira Voss, pilfered from a poetry slam flyer. Ethereal, untraceable. The sublet was a hole, dank, drafty, rent paid in falafel shifts and odd jobs, dog walking for professors, transcribing podcasts for conspiracy nuts. Enough to eat ramen without guilt, stash the last trust dribbles in crypto wallets, ghosts in the machine. The drop to prosecutors landed like a dud grenade, leaks dismissed as unverified, Harlan's testimony a Teflon shield. Media cycle spun on, Netflix doc announced, blood and bonfires, with actor lookalikes for us, me fierce, him brooding. Ratings bait. I avoided screens, but whispers followed. Bartok of that Georgia girl who torched her legacy. Legacy.
Mean?
A cocktail of Hawthorne deceit and Hayes honor, shaken not stirred. Grand's letters, unearthed in a safety deposit box I'd claimed pre-flight, painted clearer. Eli was fire, warm till he scorched. James knew, forgave. For you, Willow. Don't let it consume. Too late. Spring thawed the ice, greening the Willamette Valley like false hope. Mira Voss bloomed tentative. Community college lit class, dissecting Faulkner, Absalom, echoes of family feuds. Professor, a silver fox named Dr. Ellis, lingered after lectures. Your essays bleed truth, Mira.
Revengely?
Personal research. Smile tight. But his eyes, kind, probing, cracked my shell. Coffee turned to confessions veiled. Lost my way once. Betrayal's a bitch. Still chasing? He stirred cream, thoughtful. Learning to let go. Letting go. The phrase mocked. Harlan's shadow loomed longest. Spring news. Book deal. Confessions of a fallen heir. Excerpts dripped contrition. Willow was the spark, but I fanned the flames. Victim again, pen mightier. Rage. Banked embers flared. I wrote back, anonymously, zine submission to a Atlanta alt weekly. The heir's other side. Unfiltered. Flips, the kiss, the stab. Published raw. Viral in true crime corners. Harlan's camp sued, defamation, but the damage stuck. Book tour canceled. His response, email to my college account, trace somehow. Touché, sister. But game's not over. Meet? Neutral. Eugene Arbaritam, solstice. Solstice. June 21st, longest day, shortest shadows. Trap? Temptation? I went, armed, recorder in bra, pepper spray in pocket. Arboretum bloomed riotous, azaleas, rhododendrons masking us in pink haze. He waited on a bench, linen suit rumpled, no cane therapy, he claimed. Mira. Amused always. Poetic. Cut the shit. I stood distant, sun dappling like spotlights. Book's a lie. I'm the villain. You're the mirror. He rose, slow, showing what I hate, but can't quit.
Quit.
The word hung. We walked paths, gravel-crunching confessions. He admitted. The DC probe? His play, flipping feds for leverage. The kiss? Real. Regretted. Lila's echo drew me, then scared me. Scared, laughter sharp. You used me. Used us both. Stopped at a fountain, coy circling lazy. Elias's game. He pitted heirs, Lila versus me, now you. Blood test.
Fake.
Grans fling. Rumor he spread to manipulate. Twist, the deepest cut. No sisterhood, just another layer of deceit. I reeled, branches blurring. Then why? Control. Eyes met, raw. But you broke the board.
Broke.
Not burned. Progress? Wind stirred petals, confetti of closure. What now?
Now.
He pulled an envelope and signed check, full trust remainder. Walk. Or fight. Your call. The choice polarized even me. Cash out, vanish to Bali? Or torch the last bridge, expose the fake DNA, unravel his redemption arc? I took the check, tore it slow. Fight's over. For me. He nodded, no flip, acceptance weary.
Good.
We parted at the gate, his back straight, mine lighter. No embrace, no curse. Just silence. Solstice, sun winking farewell. Summer unfurled gentle. Miravos, real now, enrolled full-time, dated Dr. Ellis tentative. Walks, no storms. The docuseries dropped, skewed but cathartic. I watched once. Cried for Dad, Lila. Harlan's book tanked, last I heard. He's teaching adjunct in Savannah, penning memoirs no one reads. Revenge? Not the fire, nor the chase. The mirror, smashed, shards reflecting whole. Happy? In fragments, cabin dreams ditched for campus dorms, Foster scars fading. Tragic? If you count the ghosts we carry. You judge. Blood's blood, but choices? Yours.